Hello, I'm Eloise and this is my channel, and today I have decided to go back to basics, and I've pretty much hopefully covered all bases. I've taught you how to do some killer brows, how to blend like a pro, how to do a mega sharp wing in like 3 seconds, and how to pop some lashes on. So yeah, if you want to know how to get the technique, then just keep watching. So we'll start with brows and the NYX Micro Brow Pencil in the shade Brunette. And now I'm just brushing the hairs upwards and outwards, and that helps to sort of see what the shape of your brow is. And then to define the arch, I'm just going to underline the brow. And at this stage, this is where you would elongate the tail as well. And now I'm just going to flick the product up at the front to create really natural brow stroke hairs. And that helps to sort of give more of a natural fluffy look. And now I'm going to outline the top of the brow to again define the arch. And then after that's all done, I'm going to fill it all in, and remembering to do really short strokes rather than long strokes, because this makes it look much more natural. And at this point, I'm just finding any sparse areas and filling them in with really hair-like motions by flicking the product upwards and outwards. And now I just want to show you how to measure your brows. So for the front of the brow, it should line up with your nose, and for the tail of the brow, it should line up with the outer corner of your eye. And now apparently I'm really feeling my new brow as opposed to my naked brow. And as if by magic, BAM! And of course you can skip this step out, but I like to add a lash primer, and that really helps to fluff the brows up, give more depth and texture, and by using a lash primer it lasts a lot longer as well. So yeah, just run that through the brows, and if you feel like you've got any sparse areas, that's going to really help to create the illusion that you've got thicker, fuller brows. And then to cancel out that white cast, I like to go in with my NYX Brow Mascara in the shade Espresso, and by using a darker colour for the hairs, it creates more depth and dimension. And now with my Collection Lasting Perfection Concealer in the lightest shade and a flat, small little shading brush, I like to carve out my brows. Now this formula is perfect for carving out the brows just because it's quite thick and creamy, and it's going to create the perfect highlight for the brow bone as well. And it's much easier by going in small, short bursts of movement. Using the shape of the brush is going to really help you create the perfect carve, and anywhere that you've gone a little bit overboard with the brow product, this is where you're going to perfect it. And now I'm going to go in with my Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion in the shade Enigma. This is more of a pinky tone, which is perfect for my skin tone. We also do a yellow undertone one called Eden. Now this has got a concealer running through it, and it's going to really help to adhere the eyeshadow to your lid for much longer, 24-hour wear. You're going to have a crease-free wear, and it's going to allow the pigment to show through a lot more as well. It's really important to use an eyeshadow primer because this one mattifies, so if you find that you've got oily eyelids, this one's going to be perfect for you throughout the day. And it also blanks out the base, so if you have any discoloration in your eyelids like me, like veins or redness, then it's going to be perfect for you. And now you can see we've got a really nice blank base to work with our eyeshadow. Alternatively, we have the original eyeshadow primer, which is much better for dry eyelids. It does dry down clear, so in this case you would add your concealer into it. And now I'm showing you the Primark Nudes palette. I'm very impressed with how many eyeshadows you get for the price, and this gold one is absolutely stunning, and I'm just showing you here. It is £8! How? So now I'm just going to pop into this transition colour with... Oh no! I put my nail into one of the shadows! That is the worst thing if you've got false nails. So I'm going in with my 224 by Zoeva and just popping this into the crease. And that pigmentation, I'm impressed. And I'm just going backwards and forwards and going in with circular motions to blend out this colour into my crease. And you can find your crease by popping your brush into the socket of your eye, and that is basically your crease. And this is where we want to add depth and make the eyes appear wider. And by using a transition colour, it's going to help with the next steps by blending in the following shadows. And at this point you want to lay down the colour and then you want to blend slightly above the crease. And I just want to let you know that I've only gone in with one dip. One dip! That's amazing! That's how you can tell if a shadow is good or not, because you can get this much colour payoff from one dip. And I'm being sure to have an extremely light hand at this point when I'm blending away the edges. We don't want to see where we've started or finished with this colour, as it is just the transition colour. And I'm just going back in, just making sure that everything is blended out beautifully. And now I'm going in with the classic 224 by Zoeva and this much richer brown colour to create some depth into the crease. Now this brush is much flatter than a classic fluffy brush, but it fits directly into the crease as it's much flatter, as I just said. And I am just going backwards and forwards into the crease, remembering to keep slightly lower than the transition colour so that we get that nice gradient between the transition, the deeper colour and then the shimmer. And you can see I keep looking forward just so that we know that when I open my eye, you're still going to be able to see that depth and that rich colour that we've laid down. That's sort of like a marker as to how high you can go with this dark colour as well. And now I'm just going back in with my 224 with no extra product, and I'm buffing out the edges of the darker colour, making sure we can still see the transition colour that we laid down first. And I'm just showing you here my beautiful blend. You can't see where one colour starts and one colour finishes. And now I'm going in with a tiny pencil brush and this dark brown, just to deepen up ever so slightly more. And in tiny little circular motions, I'm just keeping this to the outer corner in sort of like a C shape. So you can see that I'm just buffing it on the lash line and then slightly in the crease. And now I'm just going back in with my 227 and buffing out the edges of the dark brown. And again, no harsh edges, all beautifully blown out and blended to the max. And I'm just going to take this beautiful foil gold shade, pop a little bit of priming water on the flat end of a naked brush, and that's going to ensure the pigment comes out. And girl, did that pigment come out! Look at that, so stunning. And by spraying the brush with some priming water, it's really allowed the pigment to attach to the lid, and you can almost do sort of like a soft cut crease with it. But we're not going for a cut crease today, so I'm going back in with the pencil brush just to buff around the gold. And yes guys, this was an £8 Primark palette. And now I'm going to show you a slightly different technique, and this is personally how I like to do it. I like to go in with my middle shade first, with my 227, so that rich brown shade. And I like to lay that down in a really ugly looking shape, but I promise you it will look better afterwards. But I like to just pop that straight into the crease and sort of press it in and then buff around the edges so that you can still see it when your eyes are open. And then I'll go in with my transition shade afterwards, and this is same brushes as well as last time, so 227 and now the 224, and very lightly, barely touching the skin, literally tickling the top of the skin. I am buffing around the edges with that transition shade to blow out the edges of the middle shade that we put on first. And I find this really allows you to get the best amount of pigment out of your eyeshadows. And I like to keep going back in with the previous brushes, with the previous colours, just to get the most amount of pigment out of your shadows. And that is now a really beautiful blended eyeshadow. And now I'm going in with the darkest colour with the bullet brush and just buffing that into the crease. And I find this is much quicker, much easier to blend the shadows as well, but I thought I'd give you a little bit of choice on what technique would suit you the most. And look, that was so much quicker. And now I'm going to show you how to use a primer to attach any pigment onto the lid. So this is the original eyeshadow primer. Just popping that onto my finger and popping that onto the lid. And you can be really messy with this as well, because you can just neaten it up with the brush when the shimmer goes on top. But you want it nice and tacky so that the shimmer just pops straight on top and attaches for much longer as well. And I'm going in with that gold shade with the same naked brush, and you can see it literally is like a magnet. It brings out the pigment so much more, and yeah, you're going to get a 24-hour crease-free wear. And as you can see, you get the exact same results with two completely different techniques. And I'm going to go in with this highlight shade just to add a pop of highlight in the inner corner. And if you get quite a lot of darkness in this corner, that's going to really help to brighten up the area. Now I'm going to do a wing. Very nervous to do this on camera, but we're going to go in with my Master Ink by Maybelline. And the trick is to follow the underneath of the eye shape. So I'm just going to line the lash line first, and then that is out the way, and then we can focus on the wing. And I'm doing a very thin line from the inner corner and getting thicker as we go towards the outer corner. And now for the wing. Woo! So, no raising your eyebrows. You want to be very nice and relaxed, because if you raise your eyebrow and then you lower your brow, once the wing is done, it can just go off. So we're starting in really short bursts. So we want a line completely outwards, not upwards. And if there was a continuation of your lash line, that is where you want your wing to place. And now you can raise your eyebrows just to fill in the rest. It's all plain sailing from here, guys. And if you feel you need to, just neaten up your wing. You can elongate it, you can make it look even more sharp by using concealer if you want to, but keep looking forward to make sure you know what your wing is going to look like when your eyes are open. Woo! We did it! Ooh, ooh. But now you have to match up the other side, so good luck with that one, you're on your own now. And now for the lashes. So make sure you have some tweezers, some scissors, and some duo glue, which is the best lash glue in the world, and of course some lashes. So you have to take the lashes off of the packet, use your tweezers, not your fingers, because that's when you'll rip off the lashes, and never ever put the lashes straight onto the eyes. You have to measure them and make sure you cut from the outer edge, not the inner. So cut off wherever you need to. I just needed one off, and now you should glue your lashes. And now for the lash drying dance. So you want to make sure that your glue is nice and tacky so that when you put it on, it's going to be so much easier. And now for popping on the lashes, make sure that you are looking directly down into a mirror so both your eyes are still open, and pop the lash into the center of the eye, and then we can sort the corners out in a minute. I like to use my fingers for this bit because I find it so much easier. If you find tweezers easier, go ahead and do that. But I'll put the outer edge in first and then the inner edge, and that is pretty much how I do my lashes. I know I made that look super easy, but it's all about practice. Now onto the other eye. Make sure you use your tweezers to take them off of the packet and then measure up. And also, if your lash is feeling a little bit uncomfortable, it's poking in anywhere, make sure you take them off and redo it. No one wants a lash poking into their eye throughout the day and giving you a bloodshot eye. We've all been there. So popping on the lash again, you can either use your tweezers or your fingers. I personally find my fingers easier, but like I said, look down into a mirror, pop them into the center, and then sort the edges out afterwards. And like I said, if they're poking into your eye and they feel uncomfortable, take them off and redo it. And that is your lashes done. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Easy. Now I'm going to quickly do my skin and be right back. Now I like to work in reverse order for the lower lash line, so I'm going in with my bullet brush and that dark brown, and I'm just buffing that really close to the lash line, and I'm going all the way in and all the way out. If you don't like to go all the way in, you absolutely don't have to. Just focus on the outer corner, that can be just as beautiful. But for me, I find it widens my eye a lot more, and of course, you have to do the lower lash line face. Now I'm going in with my 227 with the rich brown colour, just to buff underneath the dark brown, so it's not as harsh and it's a lot more diffused. And then I like to go in with my 224 and the transition just to diffuse. And now going in with my mascara on the bottom lashes. And I'm just showing you here how much wider it makes my eyes look. They look much more open and awake. So yeah, that is a finished look. I hope that I have been somewhat helpful. I find that that is the area of the face that people struggle with the most, and it doesn't have to be difficult, it doesn't have to be hard. So hopefully I've given you some insight on how to blend like an absolute queen, how to have a really beautiful wing, how to put some lashes on, and how to have some killer brows. So yeah. Oh, I got lipstick on my teeth too, that's great. So yeah, I highly recommend this £8 palette. If you haven't got it, go out to Primark right now and go get it, because the pigment is insane. The foiled shadows are beautiful and it blends like a dream. If you have anything else you want me to go through, make sure you comment down below. Let's try to get to 100 thumbs up, that would be amazing. Make sure you subscribe and all that jazz. Who's bored of that yet? Not me. I'm Eloise, this is my channel, and I hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one.